Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Gyeongseong Creature, Season 1, Episode 4. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we're immediately picking up in the aftermath of last episode with Jeong showing up to save Cheoke. But we also got this little backstory at the beginning where she said, I thought that was kind of an interesting metaphor for things. So she was like, her mom taught her that there's so many different shapes you can make with a single string, but just imagine the possibilities and how many countless shapes you can make with another person. And it's all about you kind of entanglements in a sense in the more cosmic thing of like happenstance and just these chance meetings forming into something you would have never really known that they would, and just showing you the sequence of Jang like climbing up the ladder to get to the roof and ended up protecting Cheoke. So we got a little backstory of like before he got there too, him playing the role of the driver, losing his one of his tails from Ishikawa, which still not sure what moves he's going to make, because it all leads back to that hospital, because it's like, oh, do you think, because one of his men suggested like, oh, do you think Jeong ended up breaking into the hospital? And it's like, he still hasn't made a move yet, because I guess he, even in his position, like he doesn't have any reason to go there, but I think maybe it's also, I don't know if he'd have any jurisdiction that would even allow him to go there. But yeah, obviously, Miss Noel is not too keen on Jang doing this. She's like, just kind of reconsider. But he's like, no, I've made up my mind. Don't worry, any danger happens, I'll dodge some bullets or whatever. It'll be fine. It'll be perfectly fine. And once again, those motherly instincts kind of kick in. Like, I don't know if he views her like a mom or she views him like a son. They haven't really expressed that dynamic. I mean, it's been expressed, and you kind of get that vibe, but I don't know if either one of them really correlates their dynamic in that same like capacity or not. But she's worried about him. She doesn't want him to do something so dangerous, wants him to reconsider, but goes full steam ahead. But picking up where the last episode left off, it's like, wait, these kids, okay, cool. I also, for whatever reason, did not realize those characters were as young as they were. I didn't realize they're all like kids. Like the two oldest are just teenagers. For whatever reason, I thought that was like a family. I thought this is a husband and wife and children. It's like, no, they're all kids. They were kids that were experimented on, as we saw the other kids that some were being like obviously still infants at the time. But these are the only like survivors amongst the kids, it seems like. Just like from what we've seen, other than Myungjae, there's only like two other adults that are alive, because they're the only ones we really focus on. So literally 90% of the people that were there are dead now. Not unless there were other people, but we along with Myungjae, we only saw like two other people. Obviously, you could tell it rubs Jang the wrong way. It's like, right, I came all this way to help you because you were making a sacrifice for me, and it is about Myungjae because a lot is riding on this, but it's also because he was concerned and worried about her, so he's not really putting that forward, because I think he's afraid to kind of put that forward. It's like, who am I to kind of be like so lovesick that I'd kind of go this far for a person? It's like, no, this is about my self-interest, which it still is, but he doesn't want to even admit or acknowledge that she plays at least a monochrome of a part in all of that. So, but for him, it's just like, yeah. I think also it doesn't help that he is with Sachimoto. It's like, cool, I kind of kept up my end of the bargain, you didn't. Which later on, when she's like, well, that guy's Japanese, who is? It's like, yeah, he's someone who works here. He was doing a douchebag thing, because he's like, well, if I give you the guy that you're after, maybe you won't fulfill your side of things. And like, he just kind of assumes the worst in people, just because like, that's kind of been his experience. I kind of do whatever's in my self-interest, so I assume a lot of people will do the same thing. So he's assuming like, if I tell you the truth, you're just gonna bail and leave me alone to do all of this. So I guess that's also like keeping them like on the hook a little while longer, trying to get it's like, once we find Myungjae and get her out of here, then I'll reveal to you, yeah, this guy you've been looking for, Sachimoto, this is him. But keeping that close to the vest, and now the decision is, oh, what do we do? They're trying to kick, like, the whole plan was made to just get Myungjae out, getting out, not just, I was about to say four, so no, it's five kids. It's two big kids and three little kids. Like, getting them out is going to be nearly impossible. They had a way out to some extent because of they were only going to bring like one person. Because even June Take knew going in he would have to find his own way out. So he wasn't going to use the same way out as him, so it kind of severely screws up their plans. And he tries to make it clear, he's like, hey, I'm gonna look for Myungjae, you're not going to guilt me into this, I don't care about those kids, you're not going to make me feel guilty about it. Hard cut to him helping, because he got guilted into it, because I think he didn't want her looking at him that way. And it's also like the sad eyes of these children. It's like, right, you want to be a soulless monster that only cares about yourself. But as we kind of see later on, when stuff about Cheoke's mom comes up, it gets Jang thinking about his past, specifically him kind of growing up on the streets alone, which we haven't really gotten into, but I'm curious, is that why he connects with everyone in the Golden Treasure? Like, we don't see, it doesn't seem like anyone else has any family. Like, they're the only family they have to each other. We have no idea what everyone else's circumstances, like Nawal's or Gapyeong's or the other dude, like I said, I want to say it's like Bimeo. Like, we don't know what their circumstances were before they came to Golden Treasure, why they are people. I guess because they've proven themselves over years to be the people he can trust, the only people in the world he definitely can trust. He has his connections and stuff, but those at Golden Treasure are the ones he relies on the most. He's fostered good relationships with people, but these are the people he cares about most are here. I mean, it's because it's not, yes, it's about self-preservation, but his self-preservation also includes the other three, because they are important to him. But I wonder, do they not have anyone else in the world, and that's what they bonded over? Maybe they're people who also kind of grew up in the streets, or at least were on the street for a long time. So when Zhang was able to kind of make his way up, they came up with him because they either helped him get that far, or we kind of all survived together. So there's still so much of that story we haven't gotten yet about how the Golden Treasure came to be. How did Jang's rags to riches story happen? I thought it was interesting when they went to Sachimoto's room. He made sure to hide all the pictures of the monster. And I'm curious, I guess, because once again, they're in the dark about there being any monsters in all of this. I guess, like, because he knew the children were going to be there. He didn't have enough time to hide all the photos, but he specifically made sure to hide the monster ones, because I guess it's like that's too much of an explanation that you have been not co-signing, but you've been a part of, like, the monsters experiments that have gone in, like them doing terrible stuff to humans and you drawing in that's one thing, versus, oh, like they've literally turning people into monsters. That's another thing entirely. So I think that, I don't know. What's also interesting though is the truth eventually comes out, because when the kids get scared, or one of the little children gets scared by his drawings, Jang and Cheoke like end up checking things out, and she notices the art style, and it's like, who is this guy? It's like, right, he's Sachimoto. And she's like, right, you drew this picture like a year ago. Do you know where my mom is? And he doesn't answer. He says, I don't know. Because I think for him, he knows there's one of two possibilities. I tell you your mom the truth about what happened to your mom, there's nothing you can do about it anyway, and it'd be heartbreaking to know what your mom's become. Two, if I tell you she's dead, as we know, they will try to find the bones for people who've lost someone. So it's like, right, if that person's dead, at least bring the bones back. They would. So I don't think, he doesn't know them enough to know that they would do that, but it's still a situation of, he probably knows that if they find out she's dead, they'll be desperate to try and bring her body back, which is not possible. So I also want to take this time to correct some stuff beforehand. Episode 2, I thought that's what they were implying, that was her mother, because once again, they kept focusing on the necklace. And in this episode, Cheoke's dad was like, yeah, Cheoke made one for me and her mom when she was like 12. But I felt stupid because I was like, the timeline didn't like match up in my head, because my misconception that I kind of corrected in my head in episode 3 is, but once again, I was kind of under the impression he hadn't been working. And when he got that job from director Ichiro, the guy I kept being calling like the doctor or whatever, that dude, when he got that job, they weren't here in Gyeongseong. I kept thinking they were, but it's like, no, he's one of the people that transferred after like previous facilities broke down. Like, we have no idea how long he's necessarily been working with them, because that photo of Cheoke's mom was like from like they got that photo a year ago. Like I said, he probably just like left it behind and they found it. Because they probably been pulling out fillers all over the place, being like, okay, if you see anyone that looks like this, and then they got content that, hey, some guy drew a picture that looks like, so that might have, we haven't really gotten the full context of the breadcrumbs that led them to Sachimoto, but I mean, we've got enough of it to kind of put it together, but you don't still have the full story of how it all kind of came to be. But like I said, it's in his own way, by not telling the truth, it's kind of a mercy. And I think that in itself sprang Jang to be like, right, hearing Cheoke finding out the truth about, well, not knowing the truth about her mom, because that's always the complicated rub. Are you better off knowing the truth? Because you're thinking like the truth will be better because anything you can imagine will be so much worse. But yeah, like I said, I was just being an idiot about the whole thing. I wasn't thinking that through. It's fine. I recognize like I don't pick up on things that are blatant, but I mean the episode 2 was literally called Mother, but I just didn't think it correlated and connected. I was like, because I guess just too much time. I wasn't paying enough attention. I'm just an idiot. I'm not going to try and give myself any excuses. I'm just an idiot. It just didn't correlate, and that's why I kept being like, is that supposed to be her mom? I just wasn't sure from the very beginning. I mean, I guess that's supposed to add to the tragedy of it. Like, we've known for a while what happened to her mom. It's just she's desperately looking. I mean, they held out hope for this past year, and like, but if we can find this person, we can find what happened to mom, and finally found the person, and he can't help them at all. He just doesn't want to, because he thinks he's being kinder by hiding the truth from you. Because maybe that's also what he's scared of, that maybe by the drawing of the monster, they'll recognize the necklace too. Like, because it is a feature that he noticed too about the necklace. He notices and recognizes it as the same woman, but he's probably scared of like, because I don't think Cheoke ever. No, she did. I was about to say, didn't she admit who the woman was to them? Like, that was my mom. I think she admitted that to him. So I think that's why he doubled down and decided not to say anything. Because it's also probably another. I mean, that was before he found out about the drawings, but it's like, once again, I think it'd just be too much to explain with the drawings, like why he refuses to admit. I guess like if he told them the truth, they wouldn't believe him. They think he's crazy, so it's easier just to kind of deny it and hide it than, like reveal the truth, because that'd just be too much, I guess. But like I was saying before, it inspired Jane to go like, right, I'm gonna help out with these kids. I'm gonna do this. So it's like, we're gonna get you guys out of here first and foremost. And he ends up giving the oldest kid, it's like, right, you're gonna have to kind of play the role of the man in this situation. You are, the man in this situation. Considering, yeah, you're still a kid yourself, a teenager at best. It's like it's kind of up to you to look after the others. So play the role of the driver. Just keep moving. Don't stop for anything. Kind of lucked out, because at the same time he was leaving the hospital was the same time that Mayday was showing up, which we'll get to her circumstances in a second. But the kid was running, and he was kind of like crying, because it's, I think, sadness, because who knows how long they've been locked up in that facility. But then also just like the sweet smell of freedom, like probably like it was so overwhelming that everything hit him all at once. Joy, sadness, and fear, just like all the emotions came hitting him all at once. So the kids show up at the golden treasure, and it's like, right, the kids are going to get taken care of. I think it'd be kind of sweet in the end if the kids kind of stick around and this becomes their new home. I mean, they probably don't have anywhere else to go, so it probably, I mean, who knows if that has anything to do with what Jang makes the golden treasure going forward, but it's just expanding his family a little bit more, or at least potentially going to find a new home for the kid. We'll see how that plays out. I mean, that's getting way, way ahead of myself, because there's no guarantee that this will have a happy ending. I think it will, but there's probably going to be a lot of sad stuff along that journey towards the ending. So I think everything's going to work out in the end. It's still going to be a sad journey there. But luckily they got the kids out the way they did, because when the little girl had cried about, screamed out because of Sachimoto's photos, it got a guard's attention, who brought another guard, and they try to question Sashimoto and the janitor slash cleaning person that's on the team. And luckily, there was nothing in those carts. Jang was hiding along with Cheoke, but he was like super up close to her because they were like hiding into a corner, like trying to push their bodies closer together just to stay hidden. And there's those moments where they're locking eyes, and it's just like the entire episode is just these like awkward moments between them. But Sakimoto and the janitor have to go back to their positions without drawing, because it's like, right, if we stick around, people are going to notice we're going. It's going to draw them too much attention. So this is as far as we kind of go. And so it's up to June, Taeyuk, Jang, Chaoke, and her dad. And Jang tried to tell Xiaoke, like, hey, you and your dad, you've done enough. You told me where Myungjae is. I'll go find her. And they're like, no, we made a promise. We would help this. We'll see this through. And he's like, yeah, but you've already done enough. You told me exactly where she was. It's like, yes, and you brought the person we were looking for. So it's our time to hold up our end of the deal. And her dad's like, yeah, sorry about that. She's just very adamant about fulfilling any promises. I think she also kind of feels like she doesn't want to owe him anything. Like, I think she, like I said, I think his actions in this episode kind of made her, especially at the end of last episode, kind of made her like see him in a different light. I think maybe, I don't know the stuff. I think no, because some of that stuff she was saying about destiny and stuff and that person and meeting someone was stuff her mom said. And I think it's just that thing of now that you're older, looking back on it in retrospect, you as an adult can probably understand it better than maybe when you were a kid told that stuff. So I think it made her see him in a different light. And now it's like still seeing him still going, still pushing forward. It's like, oh, maybe there is more to you than I initially thought. Because obviously she did not have the highest opinion of it all because of their first encounter. Not the best first impressions, but, you know, it's working out to some extent. They were going to try to find themselves, obviously, going through the path she went to last episode where she ended up finding the kids. They tried to go down that path again. They had simply, I think her father just knocked out the guards. There was at least 2 that died because of the gunshot and whatnot, but the others were just knocked out. We did see like some stuff poking in their faces. So I don't know if he did kind of some kind of pressure points he was hitting to kind of keep them unconscious or whatever. But June Taeyuk ended up like slicing them up just to basically send a message of like, oh yeah, like Korea independence here, like we're fighting to our independence. Like the kind of revolutionary sorter that he is and resistance fighter that he is, he kind of left a message. To be fair, at that time they were already aware. They wouldn't have been looking in the first place because, for one, Ichiro pointed out the doctor that got killed last episode, it wasn't just some teenager who did it. It was someone that was well trained enough to know exactly where to strike to kill the person. Plus, he also learned from Maeda about Jang being somewhere in the building. So, like, there were already, like, stuff surfaced up to be like, okay, it isn't just the kids hiding, which most of the soldiers were under the impression of. There's someone else here, and now they knew about it being Jang. Which this episode also, like, going back to the Maeda stuff really quickly, it answered my question about, well, what she, because I was like, Ishikawa must have, like I said, zero idea about what's going on. So she must be like a main benefactor to this place. Once again, you'd have to have money and resources to do it. Like I said, I don't think this is, well, no, it is government funded to some extent. But maybe Ishikawa just doesn't know about a lot of the darker secrets. I don't know if this is like a family, like maybe there's something this is passed down in Maeda's family, and Ishikawa just has no idea, like, the true reaches and darkness and depths that she's associated with. All we know is that she's like, right, you got to make sure that Myungjae is fine up until the baby's born. After that, I don't care. So I guess it's about experimenting on a baby. Once again, that's like, because at first I was like, do you want the baby born because maybe she can't have children and it's supposed to be their heir type of thing? But I'm like, why go through all this trouble? Why specifically this hospital? Like, just like saying like no harm should come to her. It's like, you have to know what's going on down below. So, like, because she just seems so, like I said, callous in the previous episode and just so, like, she's so in control. It just the lady seemed off. But That's so interesting. You know how important she is, yet you still had Myung Ja like down there with everyone else. She could have easily died from the anthrax, and she almost did. I mean, luckily she hid away, and even the medical student soldier from last episode had told her to avoid anthrax, that avoid the spores and stuff. But I'm like, why wasn't she already somewhere else? That's why I'm like, I don't. That's like I said, that's where I keep going back and forth for like, how much does Maeda know? It seems like she knows way more than she's letting on, but maybe she legitimately does just think this is a regular hospital. But I don't know. I doubt that. Like, what is her goal is what I'm trying to get. Like, is it just purely like, hey, I found someone that's pregnant. This is a double whammy. I get back at my husband for cheating on me, and I get to make him suffer by doing this to his like mistress and their love child. Or is it just purely from the science perspective? Like, what is she getting out of this? Like I said, I was thinking it had to be a thing of maybe they can't have any children or she can't have any children, and it's about taking this one, but they also experiment on children because we see from the kids that got rescued, but also the like infants and stuff that are in jars. So I'm like, it just has to be more test subject type of situation. Maybe the younger they are, the more pliable they are as test subjects. Maybe they had no, because like the person they chose obviously was the only success they've really had, because even Ichiro said like no, Kato was talking to Ichiro because he was saying like, right, we need to be able to replicate this. But Kato was like, yeah, but this is our only success. All the other ones didn't work out or even got disfigured. That's as far as we gotten. This is the only true success so far. I'd actually forgotten that the janitor dude had told them, hey, could you look for my brother? I completely forgot. I was like, right, that was his main reason for being here, is he's looking for his brother. So is like, while you're looking for Myung Jae, like, could you look for my brother? So I can only assume he might be, hopefully, one of the two other dudes that's surviving down there. Well, to be fair, Myung Jae got moved, so if they do find their way down there, they're only going to find them and not Myung Jae because she's on a completely different floor. There's that one guard that ended up following them because, once again, Jun Tiok ended up. I mean, once again, he drew too much attention to the roof doing what he did. Yes, they were already on the lookout, but you narrowed their focus down to your location. Plus, you didn't put the thing all the way back, and because of that, that one guard followed you. It ended up in a whole tussle. Luckily, Zhang ended up killing him in the end, but yeah, got pretty beat up in the process. That was a close call. They would have gotten killed. Obviously, Jang was trying to play tough and hide the fact that he was wounded the entire time. Try to play it off because it's pride. He didn't want to look weak in front of her. He wanted to show off and be cool. Like, no, I'm good. And she's like, oh, you're bravado. He was like, no, it wasn't even bravado. It was just me being brave because I just told myself I was going to win. I believed I was going to win. At no part did I think like I would fail or lose. So he's just very stubborn, which, to be fair, we've seen that she is too. And I think her dad's kind of picking up on something there. He's not really saying anything. I don't know what her life is kind of. I mean, probably since her mom disappeared, because her mom disappeared like 10 years ago. So it's probably been a situation of she's probably never really had much time for a love life. It's all about helping out other people while, the main crux of their work was helping other people while also looking for her mom. Because people disappearing might end up ultimately connecting to her mom's disappearance. But considering all the trouble he caused, like, he kind of screwed the pooch on this, but Jang isn't going to jump down his throat too much. He's like, right, we made it pretty clear we were already going to go our separate ways once we got inside far enough, but they're in the middle of the fight and he kind of abandoned you, which is kind of shitty, but it's like, right, this is for a bigger cause. You got your mission, I've got mine, so I got to use this opportunity when I can. So him getting away from the fight and kind of doing whatever he's doing, well, because he was going to look for another soldier of his that might have been locked in. I don't think that's in reference to the janitor dude. I think it was someone else entirely that he's looking for. So maybe that's the other person that's in the cell. So maybe one person is that guy's brother, and then the other person is Jung Taeuk's like connect in this whole fight for independence. fellow brother in arms for the cause. All the while this is going down, the problem is that there's still too much human, like she isn't like the monster isn't a rabbit beast. There's still enough human connection to piece it together that she did keep looking at the elevator, and I think this episode she finally pieced it together. It's like there's enough human consciousness and brain power moving where it's like, I mean, to be fair, animals can be smart, and I'm sure the thing can be applicable in monsters. Like there's maybe the stronger she's gotten, the more her mind is kind of clearing up enough to kind of operate. So all she did was like she noticed the lever and knew to operate the elevator. So when the elevator started going up slowly, it's like, okay, so is she hanging from it or is she on top of it? Turns out she's on top. Turned home dude upside down and ripped his leg off and started rinsing through people. Quite a few soldiers get ripped apart. I like that shot where the guy was crawling and you just see everything in the background. I love stuff like that where it's like, right, you're in the foreground, you're focusing on like this thing that's kind of like this one take straight shot, but there's all this other stuff happening in the background. And I was like, I like that type of cinematography. I think that's kind of dope shots in that capacity. But yeah, she's rinsing through the different floors. What I thought was interesting, what set her off was hearing Myung-jae say, like, please don't kill me. I think that's what really, because she probably, when she was a human, she heard that so much. She kind of, like, didn't put up too much resistance at the time, but the lady from room 1 that she was with, she was room 2, that lady was room 1. Like, all that, and once again, she probably heard it so many times, all the people that were experimented on prior who ended up screaming out stuff like that as well, so it triggered something in her. And when Kato found out about this, he wasn't scared, he was almost excited. Like I said, I feel like he's going to use this as an opportunity. Like I said, I get the feeling he's going to probably end up feeding Ichiro to director Ichiro to her, just to kind of remove her, because it's like, this is his baby, this is his project. He has some kind of pride over it, but once again, that's the folly of human. Your creation, once again, very Frankenstein-esque, your creation will go beyond your control, and it has, and it's rinsing through your people. But I think on some level, maybe even Kato doesn't want to control it. He just wants it running wild. As that soldier called it last episode, he was like, it's a calamity, and he's like, calamity. He's like, I can co-sign that. Well, not, yeah, I think that was last episode. Wasn't the beginning of last episode, or was that episode 2? No, that was episode 3, I believe. So I'm like, I don't know what's, once again, him and Maeda, they're the two characters. I'm like, I don't fully know. You're unhinged. You got some shady shit in mind, but I'm like, I don't fully know your motivations of why you're doing what you're doing. I mean, the grander scale motivation, I know why, at least Kato is doing it, and maybe Maeda's reason is just for the greater, weaponry for Japan type of situation, and giving us a hand in this war. But it's like, on a personal level, what are you getting out of all this? That's the situation I can't quite crack to all of this. But sadly, the episode ends with Jang and Cheoke running into the monster, and it's like, oh boy. It was making you wonder, like, how long it'd be into the season before they end up actually encountering, and here it is. Eventually, it's going to take some time, but I'm curious how long will it be before Cheoke realizes that's her mom, because the necklace kind of is close enough to the skin, like it hasn't fully fused in. Maybe it has, but last time I checked, I think it was still, it feels like it was kind of embedded a little in the skin, but it was still visible. So who knows if she's just going to assume, like, wait, is this my mom, or is it like, did this thing kill or eat my mom? There's also the element that could be, maybe it's going to be a thing of there is enough of her to recognize her daughter, so maybe when it's about to attack Jang, her getting away stops the monster. Who knows? That might play against Ichiro and Kato when they both try to control the monster. Like I said, Kato's not pushing the taming and controlling element, because, like I said, he wants it to kind of run free, it seems like. Whereas Ichiro seems to be the one who wants to tame it and control it. All that time and effort he put into it, he's like, oh yeah, it's so fast and quiet, and look at it eat and kill, and he's so happy about it, but I can't wait for him to get his comeuppance, because it's like that thing, just for the poetry of it all, that thing has to kill him. So, question just becomes when and under what circumstances, but there is just a lot going on. I'm so curious to see where the next episode takes us with all of this, what other answers we get, what this confrontation with this monster looks like for our heroes. What about Cheok's dad? It feels like they're going to set this up so that she ends up not only losing her mom, but her dad. Once again, it becomes that conversation under what circumstances. Will he sacrifice himself to kill the monster and himself in the process, leaving her alone? Or how this is all going to shake out. We'll have to wait to see where the next episode takes us. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.